We do a cancer benefit. The
Mm.
girls basketball team started it, but it's grown now. It's just amazing. We're in our 19th year, and hundreds of thousands have been given out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really something, and that really is driven by the community. And one of the things in a small rural setting like we are, the school building sometimes is just like a community center.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something going on here.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Mark Stamper. Mark is the district administrator at the school district of Flambeau, and that is in Tony, Wisconsin. Mark, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me today.
Mark, tell us a little bit about how you got into the position that you're in and what's going on at Flambeau.
Sure. So I started as a teacher at Flambeau in 1996.
Oh.
I was a math teacher and I coached quite a bit. And then once our kids, my wife and I have 4 kids, once our kids kind of got through school, I thought, I want to get into administration.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like, when you're a teacher, you think, oh, I could do that better.
Right. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So I went and got my principal's license. And then I took a job in a town south of here called New Lisbon, but about the same size school. And I was the junior high and high school principal there for a while. And then the superintendent job opened up here. And I thought, well, it would be kind of nice to go back home. 3 of our 4 kids still live here in the district. And of course, now we've got grandkids.
Congratulations. I don't have any yet.
Oh, they are fun.
I'm
And I
excited.
get to go down. I get to go down to the elementary and see them and get some hugs every day.
Fun.
Yeah, but this is my first year as a superintendent, first year at Flambeau.
Okay.
And so, been a lot of learning for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet. So what size of district is Flambeau?
So, we have this year, about 475 students, kindergarten through 12th grade. We're all in one building.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's nice. It's so we could have our high school kids that maybe want to help out a little bit with the little ones and things like that. So it is very helpful to have everybody all in one building, especially with a small rural school like we are.
Mm. So how big of a city is Tony, and about where is that in Wisconsin so people know?
So we're in Rusk County, which is northern Wisconsin. We're north of Eau Claire, if you know anything about Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's we're a little bit north of there. But yeah, Tony, oh boy, 120 people maybe. Tony's a really small school. It's a really small town. But in the Flambeau district,
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
there's 5 different towns. We've got
Okay.
Tony, the Glen Flora, Ingram, Sheldon, Conrad. And so, but they're all about the same size, just small little towns and kind of spread out.
So
And
you
so
guys are pulling from all of these areas in these rural areas and families that are remote and out.
right.
Yeah. So how far do some of these kids travel to come to school?
Oh, yeah, it's quite a ways. That's one of the disadvantages. I think we start classes at 8 o'clock, but we have kids that get on the bus before 7.
Wow.
So, yeah, they've got quite a bus ride.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long day. That's a long day.
It
'Cause-
is. It is.
yeah. And what
Rough.
time does school get out?
3:35.
Yeah. So they're
It's
not getting home till 4:45, probably the
right.
last one getting off the bus. Is the
You
last
know,
one getting off the bus the first one to get on the bus?
I think it depends.
Oh, okay.
It depends
Okay.
on the route.
Poor
Sometimes they do
kids.
that. I know. But it really emphasizes just how important your bus drivers are.
Oh,
When
yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
that. As far as the school goes, they're the first person that the kids see in the morning and the
Mhm.
last one they see when they go home at night.
Yeah.
So, those folks that do that are very important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And so are the janitors, and so are the
Oh my
cafeteria
goodness.
people. And
Yeah,
it's more than just, it takes a village. Excuse me.
it really does.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I know.
We're all educators.
Yes.
Whether you're in a classroom or not, we're all educators.
For sure. For sure. So, what would you say are some of your big wins, and what are some of your biggest challenges?
So, Flambeau is a community school. And by that, I mean, this community really supports the school, and not just, with referendums and things like that, but I mean, they're here. We've got a community ed program that's very strong. We do things like, pickleball tournaments and,
Oh, fun.
um, sourdough baking classes and things like that. It's to really, the weight room, things like that we really do. We have our sports, our extracurricular activities are very strong, and that's again supported by the community. And one of the things that was started years ago when I was a teacher here, we do a cancer benefit. The
Mm,
girls basketball team started it, but it's grown now. It's just amazing. We're in our 19th year, and hundreds of thousands have been given out. And
wow.
yeah, it's really something. And that really is driven by the community. So, and one of the things in a small rural setting like we are, the school building sometimes is just like a community center.
Mhm,
There's all something going on here.
mhm,
We'll have people rent out our facility on the weekends for, if they're having a wedding or a family reunion or whatever it is.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
and it's great. It's
Yeah.
great to always have someone here. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's and it just gives them a place that not only did they go there as a child and graduate from there, but now they can, take advantage of the fact that there is that space available for them. Because a lot of times in small communities like that, maybe the American Legion or someplace like that. My husband grew up in a town where there was one stoplight, so
oh,
totally get
yeah,
it. Same thing.
yeah,
It's a multiple. I didn't. I was one of, I think, 1,200 kids that graduated from my high school back in 1985, if you want to age me. But yeah, and it has grown. But his school, yeah, he had to get on the bus. The same thing. He couldn't wait until he could drive, so he didn't have to take
right.
that bus anymore.
Oh,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a lot of the high school kids drive.
Yeah.
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 'Cause well, then they just don't have to get on the bus that early, so that's
Hmm.
nice.
Yeah, and high
Yeah.
school kids don't do well in the mornings anyway.
No.
You know,
Right.
they're not morning people anyway. Their bodies are growing and
Right.
changing and hormones and oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I one of the things I started when I began here was I go out and welcome those kids into the building in the morning, from the parking lot,
mhm.
and the principals welcome the kids in from the bus, parking. And, but yeah, a lot of times I'll get a good morning, and sometimes, with those high school kids that are just a little grumpy, I'll maybe get a look. That's
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah.
Today I got a candy cane though, so
Oh,
it's pretty good.
that's all
Yeah.
right. That's all right. Yeah. Good for you. Was it I have to ask, was it one of the girls? It seems like something a girl would do is give a candy
Exactly.
cane.
Yes, it was. Yep.
I can't see a high school boy giving out a candy cane.
No, no, right. That's not something they're gonna do.
So those of you that don't know, since we did reference candy canes, it is December 17th, 2025. So we are, wow, what, 7 days, 8 days from Christmas. Holy moly, it's
Right.
gonna be here
Yeah.
in a blink of an eye. It is, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is when does school get out for you guys? When
Oh,
are you
so we
almost
have
done?
we yeah, we have 2 more days.
Okay.
Tomorrow is, the, Christmas concerts after
Mm-hmm.
school,
Mm-hmm.
and, Friday, we'll just be probably celebrating a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Have a party. Have a party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to do that. You got to, even though school is school, but you got to have those things matter. You remember
Right.
those things. And as a kid, I
Right.
remember in kindergarten, I got to be the one with the baton at some parade that we're doing,
Sure.
and they put me in this little sequined outfit that I'm not a small person. I'm 5'9", and I've never been small. I'm in German background. Not it. Just, big bones. We don't easier to have babies, but it's about the
Right.
only advantage, right? And I remember it being really tight. They were like, "Oh, we don't even know," but I fit in. They got it on me. I mean, and I'm 58 years old, and I still remember. I was so excited I got to hold that
Oh,
baton
yeah.
and lead that parade.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there's so much more that goes on in schools other than in the classroom,
mm-hmm,
right? With athletics and, like homecoming is a big deal and
mm-hmm,
all little celebrations that we do. So yeah, those are important things too.
Yeah. Yeah. Is football a big deal for you guys up there?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. We, a few years ago, we switched from 11-man football to 8-man football
Mm.
because well, one of the problems that we have is declining enrollment, and so
Mhm.
that really hurts, the number of kids that are available for the different sports, and we found that, we just didn't have enough for an 11-man team, so they switched to 8-man, and that was and I coached football when I
Mm.
was a teacher, and so it was kind of a big switch for us old football
Yeah.
coaches, but it really has revitalized the program.
Oh, good.
We were conference champs this year, and
Oh, congratulations to you
yeah,
guys. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, end up losing in the playoffs to the eventual
Mm.
state champs, but
Wow.
they had a great year
Yeah.
and just great kids, and that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So, just out of curiosity, not that it matters, but I'm just really curious. So, when you go from, I grew up football too. I mean, as football is football. You know, if you're an American
Right,
in football,
right,
right? We love it, and it's not soccer; it's football,
right.
American football with a pigskin.
Yeah.
So, when you go from 11-man to 8-man, which positions do you lose?
So you take out your 2 offensive tackles,
Okay.
and then you lose, a running back or a receiver.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a little different, there's more space,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you have a real speedy running back or somebody like that that can get out into space, it's a real advantage. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the scores are
Or higher.
pretty yeah, defense is tough
Yeah.
in that situation.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
That's really cool. Okay, so you said declining enrollment. Let's talk a little bit
right.
about that. So how much are you declining? I mean, is it like steep decline, or is it just gradual over time? What's happening there?
Um, so, well, when I first started here in '96,
Mhm.
we had 254 kids in the high school.
Okay.
And, this year we've got 130. So,
Significant.
now that's a long stretch of time,
Mhm.
but I think it's been accelerating, lately. So this year we lost, I think it was right around 15 to 20 kids total. Um, and so, yeah, it's really been a struggle. One of the and it's not unique to Flambeau.
Mhm.
Uh, Schools, throughout Wisconsin, the other superintendents that I talk to, it's almost universal. They're all dealing with the same problem. Um, I know, for us here in the rural area in Russ County, we've got 3 schools in Russ County. There's us, there's Bruce, and there's Ladysmith, and we're all, feeling the same pinch.
Mhm.
There's, not a lot of industry, not a lot of jobs. Um, we had, a window factory in Hawkins, which is just down the road. That, closed down, about a year ago, maybe a year and a
Mm.
half, and they employed a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
And we've got another, manufacturer in Glen Flora, that is currently, you know, starting the process of closing down as well. And so that, just countywide and just this region, it's been really difficult because the population is decreasing.
Mhm.
Uh, and the biggest reason is, there just aren't the jobs. There just aren't, those sorts of things to hold people here in the area. Those of us that live here and work here love it,
Right.
because and it's, if you love the outdoors, you love camping, hiking, fishing, hunting, all that stuff, this is great. But to try and raise a family, sometimes that's difficult.
Right, right, and you gotta be able to feed your kids. You've gotta be able
Right,
to have a job, you gotta have a place to go to work, right? And if you
right,
can't, if there's no industry to support that, and the interesting too is the farmers, the rural
right.
farmers. I grew up in Nebraska, so,
Yeah,
farming has changed dramatically. Even, I told you I graduated in '85, it's 40 years ago now. We just had our quote 40th high school reunion. I didn't go. It's too far. I don't live in Nebraska anymore. Not going there. Um, but it's a different, I mean, farming is corporate now. There's corporate farming. I have family that still farms, but they don't farm. My grandparents farmed 120 acres, dry
yeah,
land. dry land, no irrigation. How they did that, oh my God bless them. I don't know how they did that, but they did. They did. They raised my dad and 2 other boys. They had cows, they didn't just depend on, but they
Right.
they saved everything. They lived through the Dust Bowl and they lived through the Depression and they never threw anything away. And they, I mean, they owned the farm. It was debt free. And so, it
Yep.
was that you could do that and you can't now. And the relatives
No.
that now are short tail meaning there was a lot of, the Germans in Nebraska, those Catholic Germans. My grandmother was one of, I think, 8, and my grandfather was one of 9. So you can imagine how many relatives I have.
Yeah.
And people, I remember growing up as a kid going, "Oh, I'm your cousin." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know who you are, but okay." You know,
Yeah.
third cousin, fourth cousin, second cousin once removed, whatever. But we have there were 3 of us my maiden name was Hostler, and my first cousin, and then a second cousin once removed. We all graduated the same year in '85, and his family, they were all farmers. And but now when they farm tens of thousands of acres. It's
Right.
not a 120-acre farm like it used to be. It's a totally different ball game. So,
Yeah. I know when in the 90s when I started here, we were predominantly, I mean, a lot of the kids, I wouldn't say most, but man, it might have been most were farm kids.
mhm,
And they had those little small family farms where they would milk 60 cows or something like that.
mhm,
Well, there aren't very many dairies left now, and the ones that are left are thousands of cows.
mhm.
That aren't the little small family farms anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Those have been bought up, or whoever owns them rents them to a crop farmer
right.
or one of the big dairies.
That's what
And
my uncle did that with my grandparents' farm. That's exactly what they did. They rented it out.
yep, and that's financially it makes sense.
Mhm.
It
Right.
does. And the other thing that we've noticed too is, those small family farms just it seemed like they had a lot of kids.
Yeah.
You get a group come through with 6 or 7 kids,
Exactly.
and
Right.
and you just don't have families like that for the most part anymore.
Mhm.
It seems like 2 or 3 kids is about it.
Mhm.
Uh, and so, that has hurt the population as well. And of course, then, the declining enrollment problem,
Mhm.
you know, part of it.
Are you struggling to keep speech therapy fully staffed or tired of high turnover? You're not alone. At Lighthouse Therapy, our speech language pathologists are seasoned professionals, and most of them have over 16 years of school based experience. They're not just qualified, they're consistent, relational, and results driven. We offer 3 flexible delivery models: virtual therapy, hybrid therapy, and in person therapy. It's speech therapy done right for you and your students. Learn more at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. So what do you think is this? What do you see? Like something's got to give at some point, right? So what does the next 5-10 years look like then?
Yeah, I think, there's still it's interesting because I think of Flambeau now compared to when I started as being really small. And when I go to our athletic conference meetings, we're still one of the bigger schools in our conference. So there's a lot of smaller schools out there yet that are still making it,
Okay.
you know. So we'll still be able to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just, we're going to have to fight that declining enrollment. One of the things that's probably unique here to Flambeau is we have a lot of open enrolled students out. Over the past several years, it's just been some turmoil here at Flambeau, and I think that has caused a lot of people to just want to leave. And Ladysmith isn't that far away. It's
Mm-hmm.
about a 10-mile drive for a lot of
Okay.
people. So, we've lost some students that way.
Okay.
So I think while there's a declining population in this area, I don't think we're quite getting the piece of the pie that we should be.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that when I got hired here and talking with the board, that was one of the things they wanted me to work on.
Bring
And
those
so
kids
there's
back. Bring those families back.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's hard once they're gone. It's hard to get them back.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that we're going to focus on is keeping the ones that we have
Mm-hmm.
and trying to build on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So there's so many things that are involved with that. But I think the biggest part is you wanna make sure that you have the best school that you can have.
Mhm.
Yeah. Curriculum is rich and the teachers are, doing great, those sorts of things. Um, and, but then too, we started a 3-year-old kindergarten program.
Mm.
Many years had a 4-year-old kindergarten program, and, we expanded that, so that's a full day, 5 days a week,
Wow.
4-year-olds,
Mhm.
and then we did the same thing with 3-year-olds, full days, 5 days a week. So, one thing that we've kinda noticed is that, a lot of the people that live in the district work, say, in Ladysmith or somewhere over that way, maybe Rice Lake, and so, what they would do is take their kids there for daycare.
Uh
And then, so it's like,
Yeah, I
well, we're
know
already
these people, and
there.
yeah, I get it. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
And so, we've started that 3-year-old kindergarten this year, and we're kinda kicking around the idea of maybe, here in our building, starting a daycare
Okay.
as well,
Yeah.
just to kinda keep those people in the loop.
Right.
Once they're in the building, they get to know the teachers, and they get to know the
Yeah.
routines, and they, are just more involved,
Mhm.
and, we're thinking that that's gonna help at least retain the students that we have in the district.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you have the space? With declining enrollment, I'm assuming that's why you
Right.
have the space?
Yep. Yeah, and that's right, that was the one thing that we had looked at, well, if we would do that, where are we gonna put these kids? But
Mhm.
but we do. I have to shift some things around a little bit,
Mhm.
but we do have the space to do that. And so I've been talking to some other superintendents that, so there's other schools that have, daycares,
Mhm.
just trying to figure out what's the best way to do that.
Well, and that honestly, if you can do that and you have young teachers, that's helpful for
Oh,
them
yeah.
too. Yeah. To have your kids right there
Yeah.
on campus, it's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. I love the
Yeah.
fact that you have your grandkids there. That's really kind of I
Oh,
was
yeah.
it's so fun.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's, that and when I taught here, my kids went to school here too, so, that's kind of for me, I've been lucky that way.
right.
And
Yeah.
and so, that was one of the things that I was looking at when we were looking at, kind of expanding our early childhood programs,
Mhm.
just that would certainly help out. I sometimes think when I became principal, and I kinda see it from a different aspect other than being a teacher, but young moms, boy, that's a tough job,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're gonna have if you're gonna be you're gonna work at a school or work anywhere, and then, you only have so many sick days, and
Mhm.
then the kids get sick, and what do you
Yeah.
do? And
Yeah.
that's, so, that was one of the things that we were thinking about with the daycare as well.
Yeah, yeah. Having raised 3 of my own, and having the flexibility of being work from home. I've worked from home since 2011, so 14 years, and my daughter's 27, so I started working from home when she was 13. So she's the oldest, so my youngest was, like, 7 or 8 when I started. It was fabulous because I had that flexibility, and, that's so much of what we do at Lighthouse. We hire those women that want that work life balance, who want to
Sure.
have the flexibility to be home and to be able to go to their kids' events and whatever, and still be able to have, be a contributing um, breadwinner. In the
Right.
household and doing what you went to school for, right? So, because most everybody
Yeah.
that we have that we employ are all of the therapists. They all have to have a master's degree. So, you have an advanced
Sure.
degree, and you don't wanna sit there and not use it at all. I mean, there are certainly, and there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. Please don't hear that from me, anybody
No.
mad at me, but because that's the hardest job there is, I think. But
Yep.
just having that flexibility is a beautiful thing when you can. So having the kids right there at school and knowing that you can, just walk down the hall if there's something super helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of
And
appeal.
and we see a lot more people with, that as a priority, which I think is great.
Mhm.
Instead of you know, n just, pushing your career all the time and stuff like that, and that which is good too, but yeah, the family is so important.
Yeah, I read an article And I didn't read the whole thing. I skimmed it, so I can't give you all the facts. But I read it was one of those talking things that comes up on your phone as you're scrolling or whatever.
Yeah.
But more women now in this next generation. We're the Gen Xers, and then you got the millennials, and you were all about career and stuff. Women now that are coming up are choosing to have children first and then have a career. And it was like, that's a flop on its head, right? It's like
Right.
they're much more this generation, this Gen Zs are much more conservative now, and much more interested in family life. And it's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was an administrator as well, and our generation is like, well, we want to have the work-life balance. And the Gen Zs, well, I just don't want to have to work. It's like, I just do not work at all. And I'm like,
Right.
well, good for you. How do you make that happen? I don't know how to do that.
Exactly.
And I've
Yeah.
always worked. I mean, I'm driven. I'm a driven person anyway. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if I wasn't. But
Right.
it's just such a dynamic switch, that we're seeing, and the pendulum swings, and now it's swinging this way, and it's gonna, every generation's a little bit different, but it's just fascinating to me to see how, and they have access to everything, social media and for the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
it's just fascinating how things change, and how we as educators, and as you as an administrator, and myself as a contractor for schools, we have to look at that, and we have to respond to that. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Brighter Together, is that we can get on this platform and we can have these conversations, and people across the United States can listen to it and go, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only
Right.
one, right? Because
Exactly.
there are plenty of other people, Mark, that are in the same boat that you're in, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is, it's good to see people with their priorities, and my son and his wife just had a baby, and
Awesome.
she's planning to stay home,
Mm-hmm.
at least for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and it's nice because they only live about 5 miles away from us. So, grandma and grandpa can help out
Mm-hmm.
and support them, if they need a babysitter or
Mm-hmm.
somebody just snuggle,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, with a little baby, so that's fun.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I tell people, even with our staff, they people are always surprised, I think, when I say family comes first. It is because when and I use this analogy all the time. If you think about the day that you were born on your tombstone and the day that you die on your tombstone, that little dash in between
Mhm.
represents your entire life. Everything that you've done in your life is that little dash. And when you look at that little dash, nobody says, gosh, I wish I had worked more.
Right.
You know, I mean, those are the regrets that we have. So, and I
Yeah.
think that this generation is really kind of getting that. Like, I want to make an impact in the world, but I
Yeah.
know that I also want to have a fulfilling life. And as educators, oops, hitting my microphone. As educators, we have that impact. You and I
Yeah.
have touched more lives than we can even ask for or imagine, because
Right.
even the things that we do, we don't even know. We'll never know everything that we do. And that's the beauty of education. And that's the beauty of being an educator, is that we get the opportunity to serve kids and to love on them. And we do those things day after day after day. And we know that we're doing that, but sometimes on those hard days, it's hard to remember that,
Yeah.
right?
That's
But
for sure.
it matters. What you're doing
Yeah.
for those kids matters.
And so I'm in the later stages of my career, but,
Mm-hmm.
I spent most of my time as a teacher, and so, when I talk to teachers and tell them about, especially young teachers, I think about, "Oh, I envy you, the things that you have in front of you right now," and I know teaching is a tough job,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me but just the future,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to shape and mold, and I think about, folks that do other jobs, maybe, you work in a factory or whatever it is. At the end, when they retire, they look back and they think, "Well, did I do enough? Did I make the world a better place?"
Mm-hmm.
teachers and educators never have to ask that.
Yeah.
If you've
Mhm.
been doing this for a long enough time, and you have those kids that you've, influenced in a positive way, and, um, and I always encourage them, once they graduate, I encourage the teachers, graduate once the kids graduate, make sure that you stay in touch with them too,
Mhm.
because
Oh, yeah.
I know that's one thing that's been so nice, and this stage of my career, I can still see some of my old
Mhm.
students
Yeah.
and talk and see how they're doing, and it's great.
There's a scene from I don't know if you ever saw the movie Saving Private Ryan,
Mhm.
at the a and I don't I think it's at the beginning of the movie, I'm not 100% sure, but he's standing in front of the tombstones of those that died saving his life, and he's an old
Right.
man, and he gets all emotional. "Oh, look at
Yeah.
me." And
Yeah.
he says to his wife, "Did I do enough? Did I make
Right.
my life worthwhile enough?" And, the beautiful thing about what you and I do is I don't even have to ask that
Yeah.
question because
Right.
we
Yeah.
know that we have made a difference.
Yep.
And it makes me emotional because I love the fact that we get to do what we do, and that's the part that part of the reason why Brighter Together is here is because, boy, the general population, they don't understand that, and they need to
Right.
understand the impact that
Exactly.
the people that you're beating up on because you don't think test scores are high enough, or you don't think this, or you think that, these people are giving their blood, sweat, and tears every single day and making a difference in the world that you will never see. And it's a
Right.
beautiful job. It's a beautiful
It
thing
is.
that we do, and people need to know. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Mark, where do people, now that I've gotten all emotional, where do people go to learn a little bit more about you and find out what's going on at Flambeau?
Well, you could go to our website, and that's, if you just search, the School District of Flambeau in Wisconsin, you'll find us.
Awesome.
And, we've got our, PR director, she's great. She does, we've got a great website and our Facebook page. She's got it seems like every day she's got some new idea that she's putting out there to highlight the great things that we're doing and our great staff and students and community. Um, just today, the second graders had raised some money, for this time of year. They're gonna go buy some presents and
Oh,
things like
fun.
that and give back. And, she set up a little thing where a couple of the bus drivers, they're jokesters. They're always goofing around. And one of them dressed up as the Grinch and stole the other one's bus.
Oh.
And so we have it on our security cameras, the bus security cameras, so
Oh,
she put
fun.
that on Facebook, and then the second graders got to go on the bus and find the Grinch and, that sort of thing, and so, yeah. Yeah, if we've got a really good social media presence and our website, yeah, go on there and check us out. There's always
Awesome.
something great going on at Flambeau.
Okay, and Flambeau, for those of you that don't know, is Flambeau. Flambeau.
Correct.
So,
Yep.
and there's people that are listening, so they're not going to see it on the
Yeah,
screen. So I want to make sure that
sure.
people know. So, Mark, have a beautiful Merry Christmas and a Happy New
Yes,
Year.
you
And
too.
thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.